There are many players in the current NBA season that people are paying attention to for one reason or another. The big one by far in terms of size and potential is Zion Williamson. His rookie season was broken up by the pandemic and an injury in the first half of the season. But now, people are hoping that he'll go and be the superstar that the league wants him to be. Regardless of that though, he's already making bank off of his NBA career and he has some great items to show for it. So allow us to show you 10 items that Zion Williamson owns that cost more than your life. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Number 10. Nike Kyrie 5S. There are a lot of things that you can say that make the man when it comes to sports, but in regards to shoes, they are something that oftentimes get lost in the shuffle when you're not a big name star like a Michael Jordan or LeBron James. But for Zion Williamson, his shoes are absolutely a key part of his life. Not the least of which is because of the size of his feet and how he needs something that can handle all the abuse that he is going to put them through. In one 2019 game against San Diego State, Zion was seen in a pair of Nike Kyrie 5S shoes. These would cost a pretty penny to a college student, but it was all worth it as Duke won the game handily. However, later on, Zion had the shoes auctioned off, and despite only having an opening bid of $7,500, they eventually sold for $20,000, all for a pair of shoes that Zion wore in college. That just goes to show how much weight his name actually does carry, and it should also be noted that these were apparently some of Zion's favorite shoes, and then he sold them. Go figure. Number 9. Nike PG2 5S. At first you might think, oh great, it's another shoe entry. But don't be so hasty. This isn't a shoe entry, it is the shoe entry, because the Nike PG2 5S were the pair of shoes that Zion wore in the infamous game against North Carolina that almost derailed his season. For those who don't know, North Carolina versus Duke is the rivalry in college basketball, especially in recent times. It seems as though every single matchup between these two is a classic, and everyone was eager to see what Zion would do in this rivalry game. But literally minutes into the matchup, his foot exploded through the shoe, and in the process hurting Zion's knee. He was out of the game and almost out for the season. Nike personally sent representatives to see what happened to the shoe, but no definitive answers were given as to why it broke so completely. However, later on, the shoe was evaluated for auction and it was valued at $250,000. Why all that for a broken shoe? Because of its historical value. This was the shoe that almost broke Zion, and it was a major moment of sports that year. History adds to the value. Number 8. Custom Thanos Chain. See, not everything is about the shoes. Another element that gets lost in the shuffle of being an NBA star is your personal taste and personality. For Zion Williamson, he loves the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that's a totally cool thing to love, but what might surprise you though is that his favorite character is apparently Thanos, which is a bold choice because he's the main villain of the two Avengers movies, and he did try to wipe out half the universe to bring balance to it. Zion even said he wanted Thanos to win in Avengers Endgame. Okay. Anyway, in 2020, Zion got a gift from a jeweler in the form of a custom Thanos chain that was shaped like the Infinity Gauntlet and had the gauntlet wielding a basketball. It's unclear just how much it cost, but it is believed to be 5 figures easily. Just be grateful the Infinity Stones were included for extra. Number 7. Jaguar F-Type. If you look around the NBA, especially with some of the biggest stars in the league, you will see that a vast majority of them not only have cars, they have luxury cars, and they love getting bigger and better and badder cars to help suit their mood and their desires to stay fresh. So given that Zion got millions of dollars via his NBA contract, it shouldn't be too surprising that he got a major car for himself, right? Exactly. And to that end, he found himself getting a Jaguar F-Type. As it is a Jaguar, you know it's a quality ride, and it's one that is smoking fast, which Zion no doubt appreciates. It is also one that can fit his frame, which is a key element when you are as big as Zion is. Depending on the custom touches he put into it, Zion likely paid almost $100,000 just for this one car. Number 6. Draft Worn Rolex. The drafts for the NFL and the NBA aren't just major events because of their potential future effects on the league. They're events because the world watches them happen, unlike with the MLB, NHL, etc. And they are always looking to see which future stars will dazzle with their looks. At the 2019 NBA draft, there was a clear desire to see Zion, and he did not disappoint. He appeared in a cream white suit and had a massively golden watch on his wrist. That watch was a Rolex, and he made it very clear that he was the owner of that watch. which is saying something because that watch was said to be worth $100,000. Now, you might think this is a bit excessive, but trust us when we say that there are other NBA players who have scores of watches like these. But it does raise the question of how he had that money before draft night. Number 5, $1 million contract. One of the reasons why players want to be drafted high in a draft is because if you get to the top 10 in any draft, you're guaranteed many millions of dollars. In fact, for Zion, when he was drafted number 1 by the New Orleans Pelicans, he was given a contract for $40 million across 4 years, which means he's making $10 million a year to play basketball. This is just his first contract with the NBA though, just to be clear. After his first 4 years, he'll be able to go and get a new contract that'll likely be worth loads more. That being said, having $40 million so long as you play is still a pretty sweet deal. Number 4, Jeep Wrangler. The biggest question that people are usually asked when they get loads of money is, what are you going to do with it first? For Zion, we already showed you one car he bought via the Jaguar, but when he truly made it into the NBA, he went and bought himself a 2019 Jeep Wrangler, which may not seem impressive at first, but the Jeep cost him $50,000. But that wasn't the end of it, not even close, because he was actually a bit unsatisfied with how the ride stood as is. So he went to a shop and had it customized for him. He did new interior doors, custom paint job and rims, and so on. By the time he was done, he spent almost $70,000 on this Jeep. Hey, whatever makes you happy, Zion. Number 3, mansion. When you get drafted to a major sports team, one of the things you have to do if you know you'll be there a while is to get a place to live. There were many rumors about what Zion would buy when he went to New Orleans, and such as not one but 2 different mansions were rumored to be gotten by him. One of them cost around $850,000, and the other was a whopping $950,000. Each mansion has a lot of space for Zion to move around in, and one even had a Batman mural. Either way, these mansions were top-notch and top price. Number 2, shoe contract. A key thing to remember when it comes to sports players is that while their gaming contract is a key part of their livelihood, so too are their endorsement deals. NBA players especially try and get major shoe deals that can arguably keep them paid for the rest of their lives, depending on how good their line is. See, Air Jordan, which then brings us to Zion, who not only signed a shoe deal in his rookie season, but signed it with Jordan's brand, and they paid $75 million to get him to sign them. That was a huge deal and a record breaker, which means if he does indeed get all the money from his 2 major contracts, he's already worth over $100 million. Number 1, jersey. Jerseys are very much something that people like to collect because of their connections to players and key games. For Zion in his rookie season, he wore a special City Edition jersey in a fight against the Bulls, and the NBA auctioned it off for over $42,000, which means that just about every jersey that Zion wears is worth tens of thousands of dollars without even breaking a sweat. So what do you think? What do you think of this look at Zion Williamson and how he spends his money? Are you surprised that a young player like him is able to be spending money like this? Do you think that he goes and lives up to his potential and that he'll do more and more big spending as the money flows in? Or do you think that he'll be more reserved? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe and we will see you next time on the channel.